Hello humans, welcome back to Code with Connor. This is the end of unit number 1 for our Let's Learn Python programming series. If you made it this far, you should have already learned some of the basics around console interaction, user input, and most importantly, variables. So in this one, being the end of the unit, we're going to start, same as we always do, we're going to go through the activity from the end of the last lesson. Once that's done, we're going to talk about the unit project, which is kind of the bigger thing that I want you to try to put together. And when that's all done, that's it for unit 1, and we're ready to move on to unit number 2 in the next video. Let's jump right into it. For the challenge last time around, I asked you to take the MadLib's game and add in that user input piece. All we really had to do in this challenge is this part here at the beginning of our MadLib file. We were originally hard coding in specific words and then just running to see the MadLib put together. But now we add this input function, and this input function is going to prompt the user with this prompt, so in this case, enter an adjective, and then the answer that it gets from the user is going to get stored in this variable I've called word1. And then word2, I'm going to prompt enter a noun, and I'm going to store in word2. I'm going to prompt enter a verb, store in word3, and I'm going to continue this process down until I've stored all of the inputs from the user into the words. Now you'll notice very quickly this gets really tiresome because every time I run the program I have to re-enter every single word, and that's where reading from files becomes really great, because you could type them into a file and then anytime you run it, as long as the file values haven't changed, it won't re-prompt, and if you wanted to change them you could go to the file and modify them. But this is just learning that basic user interaction just within the console. So in our actual print statement, I didn't change anything from the past lesson. It's exactly the same because it's already built to use those variable values within the print statement. Now, if I had hard-coded the words I wanted right into the print statement, then I'd be in trouble. I'd have to go in and change these to all variables and move my quotes and add the concatenation. It'd be a mess. But this is why variables are so great, because my print statement already used the variables. So all I've done is change how those variables get their value. Instead of them getting their value from me hard coding it, they're getting their value from user input. And that's all that's required. If I run this, we'll have a look at what it looks like. So I'm just going to run through all of the inputs here, and I'll enter words as I go. So enter an adjective, Harry, enter a noun, book, and I'm just going to fill them all in. So there we go. Today I went to the zoo. I saw a hairy book jumping in and out in its tree. He runs quickly through the large tunnel that led to its furry bridge. I got some peanuts and passed them through the cage to a gigantic gray road, and so on. It's filled in the values that I inputted here directly into the MadLib print statement. So that was a challenge from the last lesson. Let's talk about the project. For the Unit 1 project, what I want to have happen is I want you to ask the user to enter an integer, so a number, to represent the number of sides on the dice that they'd like to roll. So imagine you're playing in Dungeons and Dragons with some friends around a table and you forgot your dice set, so you need to roll a d6 or you need to roll a d8 or a d20, and then they could just run the program, enter the number of sides on the dice, and it will roll it, and it will do a nice printout that says this is how many sides on your dice and this is what the result was, just to make sure there was no confusion. Let's look at what it looks like when we run it. So when I run it, how many sides on your dice? We'll roll a d20. You rolled a 20-sided dice and it came up 4. Not a great roll. Let's run it again. How many sides on my dice? We'll do another 20-sided dice. It came up 14, and you'll notice it prints how many sides are on the dice as well as what it rolled as. So let's run it again. Let's do a standard 6-sided dice. So now it says I rolled a 6-sided dice that came up 3. So you can imagine in my print line statement I'm using a variable there for this value because the print line statement hasn't changed. I'm not going and modifying my code in between executions. So that's going to have to be a variable. Same with the randomly generated integer. It's going to have to be a variable. Remember that randint function. So this is what we're looking at for the unit project for Unit 1. Be sure to comment, share some of the stuff that you've done. You can drop some code in a comment, drop a link if you want to share something that you've done. And I hope that you're enjoying the course so far, getting that intro understanding of Python and other programming languages. And then in Unit 2, we're going to dive a little bit deeper. So thanks for sticking with me for Unit 1, and we'll see you back here in Unit 2. If you like the content, be sure to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel. Love to have you as we move through this journey together. All right, humans, have a good one. See you soon.